large surface graphics. Now that you have your floor plan under your belt, I'm going to present you with what this proposal might be done to revolutionize the surface of some large buildings that we have going up around us everywhere. Unfortunately, we're increasingly plagued with large, boring, white or gray concrete surfaces. Warehouses and manufacturing facilities are springing up around us at an alarming rate. Like pustules on the landscape, these things are showing up everywhere, and even at a distance, their regular lines are an affront to our sense of aesthetic. They're huge, and with their monotony broken up with the occasional loading dock doorways or alternating beige on beige paint jobs, they pose what might best be described as an eyesore. Even seemingly innocuous places like big box stores inflict this kind of horror on us. For instance, here's my local Myers store. This is the side lot where I usually park, but both sides of the store are like this. You name the store. Best Buy, Walmart, Home Depot, they're all the same. So, what would happen, for instance, if someone came to their senses and realized that things could be made more visually attractive if you placed big graphics on surfaces like this? Let's say you were to persuade the owner or the management of some big box store or warehouse to let you apply a large scale graphic to the exterior of their building. Where would you start? This is where knowing something about scaling large graphics comes in, at least enough to get some preliminary dimensions. So, here's a section of that building. It's really big, and how do you figure out, and quickly, how big that it is? Because someone wants a proposal on this, and they want it by the end of this week. So where do you start? It's a little bit big for a tape measure. One clue that you can use is the height of a door. Exterior doors are almost uniformly 7 foot 6 inches tall. So how many of them does it take to make it to the roof? Rough estimates might make it look like about 3 2/3 of a door. That would be 28 feet. But let's cross-reference that with something. You might pace off the distance between the seams in the cast concrete wall. That's approximately 12 feet. If I quickly scanned out a 12-foot square and stacked them up, two of them are 24 feet, and I still have another half one to go. So then that would mean that it's more like 30 feet to the roof. By doing this kind of calculations, you can quickly arrive at some rudimentary dimensions. I happen to know the size of this wall, though, because I measured it, much to the bemusement of some of the employees taking a break outside. It is 30 feet high and 130.5 feet long. So that's going to take a much larger piece of paper to do a layout on than the 8.5 by 11 sheet that we were dealing with before to do the floor plan of our room, and a much different kind of scale.
Yes, as a matter of fact, the drawing that you're going to be doing for the next part of this project is going to be this very thing. It's going to be what's known as an elevation. The drawing that I asked you to do last was, of course, a plan view of your room like this. And as you can see, the scale of this project, or at least from this large graphic of the building, is a much larger drawing than you would be able to accomplish using one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. In this particular case, it implies it needs two because we're working in a scale that is half the size of the scale that I asked you to work in when doing your room drawing. This one is drawn out to what's known as 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. So because of that, that's how I know the width of the wall and the height of the wall. And this is what's known as an elevation. And that is the wall that we had in your plan view here, be like a wall like this, we took and stood it up like this. So this is your elevation. Now, what I do very often when I'm confronted with a large drawing like this, I work on a sheet of drafting vellum because, or a tracing paper will work too, because it allows you to do things like slip sheet things underneath. Like if you've got a Meyer logo, like we're going to be looking at here in a moment, we can tell how big we need to make that logo in order to fit it on the side of the building. In this particular case, this logo is drawn out in scale to 36 feet by 11.5 feet. The periods, or the dots atop the I and the J, are 2 feet in diameter. So this is a wall elevation at 1/8 of an inch equals a foot scale. I very often put small scale figures in just for reference. And here you can see the doors that I was referencing in the previous part of this presentation. And this is the very thing that I'm going to be wanting you to do for the final portion of this assignment. More on that here in a second.
So then, now you can figure out how large to make things in a large-scale project like this. And why wouldn't the owner of the store like this want colorful graphics on the sides of their buildings? Knowing how to dimension large projects like this would make it much easier for you as a graphic designer and artist to be able to more intelligently communicate your concepts to someone. Being able to quickly and with some degree of accuracy to inform someone just how big their logo is when it's positioned up in the corner, like this, for better visual line of sight. See, it's near the front of the store and it doesn't overpower the graphics so much. See, these are selling points that you have to use. Or just how you might go about accomplishing something as big as this. This is exactly the kind of thing that we saw in the Diego Rivera video. This is the kind of thing that he had to know how to do in order to make his large murals work on the walls of the Detroit Institute of Arts. Now, I'm not going to be asking you to do something quite this large. No, what I want you to do is to take a picture of your garage doors, measure them out so that you know how wide they are and how tall they are. I will be doing a demonstration of this, and I know that I can get mine to fit onto an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper because I just did that drawing of my studio for you, and that is right above my garage doors. So I also know that 1/4 of an inch to a foot scale will work as well. We'll look at that one next. See you in the next video.